the blame? Behind the badge, behind the smile, lies a ledger dripping vile, redding stains and twisted ties, a house of mirrors built on a silent handshake out of sight. Justice wears a crooked grin. The game was rigged before it could begin. Whispers in the dark, they grow like weeds in places no one knows. Cover tracks erase the map. The innocent caught in their trap. Behind the badge, behind the smile, lies a ledger dripping vile, redding stains and twisted ties, a house of mirrors built on
We're live. Hey, everyone. No, that's not me singing. I made the video myself. It's not AI. I did make the video and I wrote the lyrics, but it's not me singing. Hey, everyone. So I am going to bring Lee up because he has helped me so much to get to this point, and I just want him here to experience this bit with me.
I love that. Hey, how you doing?
How are you?
I'm excited. Yeah, I'm good. It's good to be
good.
with you. I'm excited to be here for your first live. That's amazing.
Yeah, me too. I was going to screw that up so bad then.
You did great. You did great. Yeah.
Thank you, all of you, for being here. Already 119 people. Thank you.
Nice. See, you're already kicking my butt. You just got started. you already what is that? It's
a novelty. That's all. It's a novelty. Yeah. It'll soon wear off.
Yeah, and oddly enough, I'm streaming on my Beyond channel, but I've got the red for the Devil's Advocates main true crime channel because I thought it was cool that you have the red, you have the wings, and I have the wings.
Exactly, I like it.
I was like, I'm just gonna go with that for now.
The two wings, it's great.
Yeah.
So, I am definitely needing your help here, Lee. But I do have, before I begin, I just want to say thank you so much. I've been talking about doing this live stream for such a long time. And I know that once I get this one out of the way, I can relax a bit and I can start doing them more often and kind of feel more confident, and I can invite you on as a guest and we can talk about, Idaho 4, or I can come to your channel. This is like a whole new era for me. And awesome. I'm really excited about it. I need to ask you a couple of questions as well, Lee, about your live streaming. I know that we were speaking briefly before we went live, and you said it's been about a year now since you've been starting doing lives.
Yeah.
Did you go to YouTube and just automatically start doing lives, or were you doing like video format before that?
Yeah, I started on TikTok and I was doing
Okay.
shorts. And then TikTok wouldn't let me talk like an adult. I had to do the pew pew and unaliving. And so I decided to move over. I did some research and YouTube sounded like it was a better platform. Plus, I'm long winded. So they said, you really need to be off of a short platform to a long content. So that's why I moved over. And then I fought the lives for a while. I didn't want to do them because lives are kind of a entertainment show and I'm not really an entertainer. But I eventually had people talk me into doing the lives, and so now I've been doing them for about a year.
No, I think you are an entertainer. You can, you know what I mean, you can just keep a conversation going, which is what it's all about. So
Thank you.
yeah. So I planned very loosely what I wanted this show to be about. And even though I'm live streaming with you on your Beyond channel, it may sort of veer into Idaho 4, things like that as well, because I know that when I do live stream on a regular basis, a lot of it will be focusing on and around the Idaho 4. I don't plan on my live streams to be about doing live readings, but we'll see how it goes. But today, what I have been fascinated by, and I think it has been put on the thumbnail, your thumbnail, is the link between the fraternities, the sororities, and other secret societies such as Freemasonry, because I've seen it in certain readings that I've done that certain people have been members of not just fraternities, but some kind of secret society. And there's been some really weird ritualistic stuff that I've seen coming up in readings.
Yeah.
And I know literally nothing about how the fraternities and sororities work in the United States, about their history, about their origin, about the idea behind them. I know it's a brotherhood, and the idea is to sort of maintain that kind of brotherhood and loyalty and that kind of thing. But what I did do is I pulled up a couple of statistics before we get into this, which what I thought was fascinating. I'm just going to have to quickly click to my other screen. So this statistic is only about 2% of the US population is affiliated with Greek life. Yet historically, over 70 to 80% of US Congress members, Supreme Court justices, and Fortune 500 CEOs are alumni of these organizations. And that just says a lot to me, about what's been going on with the Idaho 4. They all seem very, very tight knit. They're all, when people ask you the question, how can so many people be involved in one cover up, And that to me is the obvious answer. What do you think, Lee?
No, I think societies like the Greek life and Masonry and secret societies, they do form a brotherhood. Even I mean, one might not be too excited to hear this from my channel, but even the police department is a fraternity. That a lot of them have a fraternal order that is much like Masonry and the police departments. And when they talk about your brotherhood of the blue wall of silence and the brothers, they have a fraternal kind of society as well. And a lot of times what happens is, to put it in a summary, they have you do some weird shit. Like a lot of these fraternities and stuff like that, so secret societies, have you do kind of weird rituals. And it's like, if you're willing to go through an experience like I went through, that forms a bond between us. We both had to do this. We both had to go through the same ritual. We both had to say the same words. We both had, and sometimes the weirder it is, the more of a bond it creates. It creates we know what it's like because we've been there and done it together. And I think that forms a bond. And then a lot of the secret societies, they're based around secrecy. So you get given a secret, and then you get tested to see if you keep that secret. And then you might be given higher level secret, and then you're tested to see if you, and so as you develop the ability to keep secrets, you move higher up the ranks. And then, then it becomes a question of morality. Like, are they keeping secrets that are illegal, or are they like, at what point does it turn dark, when it goes from something just simple, just a simple brotherhood, let's get together and have fun, to I'm obligated to keep your horrendous secret that might be illegal. And does that happen? So
yeah. It's interesting. I mean, I had a very brief kind of experience, sort of the American school system, because I was actually living in Mallorca, Spain, and I went to an international school there for my final years of education. And the majority of people that were there were American. And so they did things that the way they ran the school was the American way. And I just remember going to meetings, I think it was every Friday or something. And I'm sure that that was based on, like, I don't know, over here we have the equivalent, and it's houses basically. So because I don't know if it's in all schools or if it's just private schools, but you have to join a house. And then you have like inter-house sporting events. And does it work the same with the fraternities and the sororities, same sort of thing?
Yes, for sure. And then it becomes a loyalty to your house and a brotherhood to your, and look, you know, you talk about the Idaho 4 case. A lot of those officers interviewing people that were suspects were members of the same fraternities. So they have a brotherhood that extends, an unwritten brotherhood, that, hey, I'm a Sigma Chi, you're a Sigma Chi, even though they might be separated by generations, there's still a brotherhood, and we're brothers in that fraternity. And so then it becomes like, do they cover up for each other, and you know, those questions.
And also it must run through families. So if your father was in a fraternity, then you're going to be, presumably you can't just say, no, I'm not into the frats, you know. You'd have to, you're kind of, does that make sense? I suppose that's what makes it so deep.
It is. And another thing that goes, I don't want to dominate the conversation, but another thing is, a lot of the fraternities, like with the Greek system, there's rush week where you're basically, as an individual, you're saying, I want to be part of a fraternity, but you're kind of applying and you have to prove your worth. And people will look into your family background. Who do you know? Who you connected with? What can you do for us if we make you a member of the society, kind of thing. And it's kind of like an application process. And then people vie for getting into better houses at the really high levels. Like Skull and Bones, for example, is a famous, really, really secret society in America. You have to be tapped, meaning somebody actually has to come to you and say, we've noticed you and we want you. Like, you don't even go apply. They tap you and tell you, and it's oftentimes who you know and who your family is, and his dad's a judge. Well, that might be important to our fraternity, so we'll tap this guy because he's got a judge in his family, whatever. So it becomes a little bit sketchy when you find out who's getting tapped to be part of the group. But based on what they can give you.
Quickly, thank you so much, Black Cat and Jam, for your generous donation. Thank you so much.
Amazing.
Just thank you to all of you. I wouldn't be doing this if it wasn't for all of you. So yeah, thank you so much. So I was also looking at, you know, associations of not just the fraternities and the sororities, but also when you think about the wider secret societies like Freemasonry, and you just mentioned, did you say Skull and
Bones? Yeah,
Skull and Bones, which I haven't heard of. And I was going to ask you, you know, because the only one I know of is Freemasons. My dad was a Freemason, so I don't know anything about it because it's secret. But you know, it's interesting, and I wonder if that makes a difference, of how many people that are surrounding this case are in a bigger society than just being in a fraternity, or, you know, it's like the more powerful people are, or how they rise up the ranks easily or quickly, kind of always makes you think, what's going on there, you know? Even things like, and I think about Officer Payne. How did he get put in charge of the case? Like, how did that happen? Things like that make me question stuff, you know?
Right. And I think you're right to question it, because if he was in a fraternity, and then he could be rushed into a promotion faster than normal because he happens to be part of a brotherhood, and you know, the chief of police might be like, oh, we're both Sigma Chi, whatever. Like, that fraternity would rise you above your candidates who aren't part of that fraternal organization. So it automatically puts you in a higher promotion stream.
Yeah. Have you had any thoughts in general about, I mean, I'm not going to ask you what your theory is as to what happened with the Idaho 4, but has your, you know, where do your thoughts lie as far as any involvement, you know, how it's being covered up, kind of thing?
Yeah, I definitely and nice donation you got. You're just like you're
Oh, is that
them in.
thank you,
Yeah, you're
Karen. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no, I think the fraternities, again, keeping in mind that police themselves are also a fraternal organization by nature as well. So when you have a Greek system, that's what the whole Idaho campus is about, and a lot of those cops grew up in that area, were in the Greek system and stuff like that. So I think it naturally leads to questions of loyalty, because then you start to, am I going to tear down my house? Am I going to tear down my brotherhood that I worked for? And am I going to let their, and here's the thing, if I'm given two suspects to think about in a case, let's just take it simple, right? I got two suspects. One of them is from my fraternal brotherhood and one's not. Am I biased to look to the guy who's not, because this is going to hurt my reputation as in the brotherhood? So do you automatically start going, if I'm going to pick one of those two, I'm probably going to lean over here that's not one of my brothers. And so that becomes an issue too.
Yeah, I don't know, and it's not just the Idaho 4, it's like you think about I don't know, on a much bigger scale. You think about all the most powerful people that are being allowed to run rampant across the globe right now. And you think, okay, so why is there it's like there's no, I can't think of the word. It just feels there's more to it than just, do you know what I mean? It's like,
I think at the low levels, by the way, I think at the low levels of any fraternal order, it's pretty innocent. I think at the lowest levels, I personally think you rise up in ranks when you show your ability to keep secrets, and then you get tested again with bigger and bigger secrets. A lot of the systems have a ranking system, like in Freemasonry, there's degrees, and you can move up in degrees, and and what you have to do to earn the trust of the next level. I'll tell you a crazy story real quick. Congressman. So there's an argument that so a book was written by a guy who said he was an insider. So whether it's true or not, I don't know. But it made so much sense to me when I said that. Let's say that they want to give a big government secret to a congressman who could ruin the United States or ruin our way of doing business. They might, and this is a hypothetical, they might ask that person to do something illegal. And like posing with children, for example, that would make you a compromising thing. And they say, look, I will ruin your life. These photos will come out with you with this child that you shouldn't have been around with, even if they're not into it. Like, I don't care if you're into it or not. You need to pose for these photos, and then we will have dirt on you. And if you ever break our secrets, we will ruin you. And so they mutually bind themselves by, this is the argument being made. At the highest levels, people will mutually bind themselves with self-destructive stuff that'll destroy your career, destroy your family, destroy your marriage, in exchange for that way. Now you can safely tell me your secrets, because you can ruin me.
Yeah.
Right. And so you have to ask, does that happen at the highest levels?
It's a good question, because then there's all these kind of suspicious celebrity deaths going on and stuff like that. And right. Is that where are they the ones that kind of call the bluff, if you like?
Right.
Or and even if it's not, even if it's not that they're, that it's just that they've called their bluff, and then they realize that stuff's coming out about them, and then they do end up, taking their own life kind of thing, or potentially that they are being dealt with. I don't know, but it's fascinating. The Freemasonry side of it is, it's so huge. And I think about the how you've been there, Lee, you've been to Moscow, and how small it is.
Yeah.
And if you think about how easy it would be to wrap that town up, literally, with, even if it was just fraternities, but I think there's something bigger going on where they are just in this circle of, and I don't know if you've ever done it, but look back at any other cases in Moscow before the Idaho 4 that has also looked very questionable. or corrupt, or, you know, how often is this happening kind of thing. Obviously everyone, well, not everyone, but the majority of people know about the Idaho 4 because it's such a huge case and it's, you know, it's global. There'll be other cases which are much smaller, which have just been brushed under the rug, or, you know.
Yeah, it's one of the things I say all the time. If this is, let's say, how do I explain that? If this is what they'll do when all eyes in the entire world are watching it, how often do they get away with this when nobody's paying attention? Like how often does the little guy or little girl get railroaded in a system because nobody's paying attention? But here you got what we think is massive amounts of corruption potentially going on, and everyone's watching it, and they're still doing it. So how often does it happen when they're not? Yeah, it's blatant.
You know, it's like my daughter was in the police force for some years, and so she knows, and she was an actual investigator. So she knows how the judicial system's supposed to work, kind of thing. And when I tell her about the things that have happened in the Idaho 4, she's like, no, that's a joke. That can't be real. And I'm like, it is 100% real. And I have to show it to her. I have to show her the actual documents to prove it. And even the fact that she said, what do you mean you have to pay for, you know, for evidence to be released that's in the public domain? I was like, yeah, they ask for payment. They want payment to be, and even then you're going to get it all redacted. So what's the point? It's like, it's
what they're doing, in my opinion, what they're doing in Idaho, with especially with the public records, is bordering on criminal. And not only that, but once, and here's the way it's supposed to work. Once somebody has paid, so first of all, Moscow is requesting obscene amounts of money. Like the first time I put a request in, they wanted $20,000 in excess of $20,000 for public domain stuff, and that's ridiculous. But even if somebody had paid, like let's say a TV station wants it bad enough, once they pay the $20,000 ridiculous fee they're charging for it, everyone from then on out is supposed to get it for free because it's been paid for. Once the man hours have been paid for to do whatever they're justifying, hey, look, that's going to take a lot of time on our part, so we need this. Okay, once it's paid for, you don't charge the same man hours over and over and over again. Yet that's what they seem to be doing. They're charging people money for stuff that's already been paid for by other people. So they're doing all kinds of things that are really sketchy in that case.
But I just don't get who polices this stuff, you know? Yeah. It's like, why is there no system that actually clamps down on it to say, it's like that's what I'm taught. This is why I've been led to the whole, there has to be something that's allowing this to happen. And is it something to do with a secret society or something where they're all just, you
oaths know, and keeping people's I do think it's a major part of it. I do honestly think it's a part of it. I think I think from what I see, being careful how I say this, that I think there was people involved in the murders of Idaho 4. I don't think it was one person. And I think somebody or somebodies in that group are being protected, and they don't, and so it's like one of those, like, don't worry, we're not going to ruin your son. We're not going to let people look into that. We'll steer this in a different direction because we're not going to ruin your son. And so somebody at a high level, somebody highly connected in a secret society could say, oh my God, you know what? There's rumors going around that my son was involved in that murder. Don't worry, I got you. You're a brother. We're not going to move the investigation in that direction. Yeah.
It's like, you know, the son, the father, the grandfather, you know, however high up it goes. And some of those people might be in a very, you know, high position of authority as well. On top of that, there might be links to law enforcement. There might be. It's just fascinating because it links everything. It links the criminal element. You know, if there was any criminal organized crime involved. It could also all be, you know, when you think about the amount of people that can be linked through a fraternity or a secret society, I'm presuming that there isn't some kind of unwritten rule that you cannot commit crime. If you commit crime, you're no longer a fraternity member, or you're no longer does it? I don't know.
You certainly can lose your standing if you embarrass the fraternity. So yeah, there's those kind of things that are in there. And I think more than that, like I said, it's a matter of, we just won't let the investigation go down where it's going to, you know, again, it's that question of like, if it could possibly be somebody from our fraternity or somebody else, we're going to always lean towards the somebody else because we don't want to embarrass our fraternity. So, yeah.
Wow. Okay. So, I've got a question actually for the viewers. Is there anyone here that's either in or been in a fraternity or a sorority? Something I've always wondered. People that watch the channel, do they? I'm assuming there could be the odd one that is, or you have close connections, or.
I'm sure a lot do. There's more people in America that have been part of a Greek system than you probably realize. A lot of people went through the Greek systems. Yeah.
Yeah.
And again, as I'm waiting for people to answer, because I'm looking to see if people are going to answer too. I don't think, and it's not inherently evil to be part of a fraternal organization, right? It's just that it allows itself through its nature to be used in a certain way.
That's what I'm saying about the fact that I'm really applying this to Moscow because it's a small town, and having all of those people linked together is very easy. I mean, you wouldn't necessarily say the same thing for a huge city, but just the fact that everyone seems to. I mean, how big is Moscow? Do you know exactly?
20,000, 25,000 population. I think it's pretty small. And some of that's counted from when the college is in session. So I think it drops down to probably 15,000 or something like that when they're not, or, I don't know what the exact numbers are, but yeah, it's like 30,000, give or take. Poland, 40,000, somewhere like give or take, but
so
they're pretty small.
There'll be an element of, the police kind of know everyone, the university knows everyone, the lawyers, the solicitors know. Do you know what I mean? It's like it's a close-knit. It feels like a close-knit community. Yes, I was
Rhonda
in a sorority and I went to
26,000.
WSU.
Oh wow, they went to WSU. Nice.
Yeah. Have you got any experiences that? I mean, I don't know if sororities are any worse or better than fraternities. You kind of assume, which is probably the wrong thing, that fraternities are going to be a bit more hardcore than sororities, but not necessarily. Looking at the readings that I've done, but do you have any stories of, that you can talk about, or things that you've seen or experienced having been in the sorority?
Yeah, those would be cool to hear. And, along that lines, by the way, you said so many things. I want to say, well, hopefully we'll be looking mods to pin something if a story comes out. But along your lines, like again, when the president of U of I, for example, if he's got fraternal organizations, and then you got a small town where the entire town lives or dies on enrollment to the college, you have a lot of people that want to protect that system.
Yeah.
All right, here's a comment for you.
So Denise, you said, I was in a sorority, Delta Zeta, and I was in the Panhellenic Council, and I was also Pi Kappa Alpha Little Sister. Wow, what does all of that mean? I have no clue.
Break that down in English for me. That's awesome.
That sounds like you're in more than one sorority, but I'm sure that doesn't. Is that what that means?
Well, yeah, it sounds like she was in one and then part of a council that had others, probably is what it sounded like, but I was a non-traditional student.
Wow. I mean, yeah.
It's funny you mentioned. It's funny you mentioned your stereotypical, like, I don't mean your stereotype. I mean, like, we would assume the frats are worse than the sororities. What's funny about that, just as an aside, my wife and I did a tour of a prison system. We were doing like at a citizens academy. And when we went to the female side of the jail, they said, oh, by the way, you think the males are bad? The female side's the worst. Like you should be scared over on the female side because they're crazy. Like it was way worse. The female criminals were like a little scarier than the male criminals on that.
I can imagine. I can imagine. One, your wife is Delta Gamma. Is there, do certain sororities or fraternities have reputations for being, that's a yes?
Well, I'll tell you, I mean, I'm waiting for his answer. But I will tell you this. Delta Tau Delta in the Idaho 4 case, nationwide in the United States, has a reputation for being the fraternity you go to if you want to get illegal drugs on campus. So how did they get that reputation? So the house itself has a national reputation. If there's drug involvement, you're probably looking at the Delts and how did they get that reputation? Like, I don't know. There are reputations that follow certain houses as being, even nationwide, as being the place you would go to look, kind of thing.
Yeah, interesting. Julie, my husband was a Kappa Sigma at WSU, and our daughter was a Sigma are these different Kappa Sigma Sigma Kappa at WSU years later. I never wanted to be part of the Greek life. Okay. Interesting. So it's interesting that your daughter decided to become a member, even though you weren't. Because I was assuming that, you know, if you're in a fraternity or a sorority, then that automatically gets handed down to your children. But I wonder how often does it happen that, you know, your mum or your dad is in a sorority or a fraternity, and then you're like, I don't want to be a part of that. Would that be a no-no?
No, I mean, I think if I were to just say culturally in America, I would think parents that were heavy into the Greek system want, of course, their children to continue on and will be proud of their son or daughter if they get into the same kind of Greek system. Other kids go to college and they want to be part of the Greek life, and their parents had no Greek life history, so they'll be entering for the first time saying, "I want to be part of that system." And so I don't know that there's a hard and fast rule that you're and again, because it's a pledging system where you have to kind of apply, you don't know that you're going to get in the house that you want. However, if your dad was of a certain fraternity, you would use that as part of your application. Hey, by the way, my dad and his dad and his dad were all that house. And that would be part of your application process, is like, pick me because my whole family is devoted to that fraternity. So
is there an easy way to find out if someone's in a fraternity, or is it like literally secret? Like, for instance, if I wanted to know if Donald Trump was in a fraternity, would I be able to find out?
I believe so. Yeah. It's not. Okay. The membership's not too hidden on that kind of stuff.
That would be interesting to find out.
Yeah,
because then that would explain why he's not.
All right.
Why he's not sorting out the Idaho 4.
I'll go see if I can find the answer.
1-1. My wife's sorority were the pretty girls and popular group that everyone wanted to hang out with. There you go. So they all have like different characteristics, which is cool. Yeah. Do you still have like meetups and stuff like that? Does your wife still keep in touch with sorority members now that she's no longer at school? Do you know?
Were you asking me? Because I was just doing a research question.
I was asking 1-1, but
oh, okay. So here's the answer to your question. Now again, ChatGPT, or I used Grok this time. Donald Trump was not a member of a fraternity in college. He attended Fordham University for 2 years before transferring to Wharton School at the University of Pennsylvania, and graduated in '68 with a bachelor's degree in economics. But apparently he did not have any affiliations with Greek life.
I bet he is a Freemason, though. Bet you anything.
I'll just ask that question.
Hey, go on. Will it tell you?
It might, or at least it'll tell me rumors. Grok will tell you rumors. ChatGPT does not like rumors at all, but Grok will actually tell you.
Yeah, but will Grok tell you rumors about Donald Trump when they're buddies? You know.
I don't know. Yeah, with you mean like
Elon Musk,
Tesla? Yeah, Elon Musk being his buddy. Yeah. So this is what it said. No, Donald Trump is not a Freemason. There's no credible evidence or official record of him being a member of any Masonic lodge. Reliable sources, including lists of U.S. presidents who have been Freemasons, do not include Trump. But they say, keep in mind, there's no membership records of Freemasonry. Freemasonry maintains records, and Trump has never been, so there's no records of him on a Freemason books. There are public records of Freemasonry, but he's not on any public records books in the Freemasons. So. Okay. Doesn't mean that he couldn't have been, because there are people who keep their memberships secret. But
something going on with him, that's for sure. The Moys are Masons, Coco. Oh, that's interesting. I did a reading on them. I did one reading. I have no idea. I can't remember what was. Can't have been anything too significant, because I'll remember the really, the serious readings that I do. Lifelong bond. So she does still engage with her sorority sisters. It's kind of cool. Yeah.
Let me ask you a weird spiritualist kind of question.
Go on.
Yeah. In fraternities, they have sometimes rituals. And in those rituals, they could be reenacting calling upon an old ancient god of Greek mythology or Roman mythology and whatever. Do you think that those rituals could potentially be more than just rituals, and they are binding themselves with some kind of evil energy or a malignant spirit of some kind? And is it possible that there's a spiritual component to being in there that does bring dark shit into their fraternity.
I do. I mean, just from looking into witchcraft and things like that, you know, you have deities and goddesses and gods and all of that. And when you're doing like spell casting and things like that, you're meant to, you know, make offerings to a certain deity or god, depending on what it is that you're doing. And we're not talking about black magic, you know, we're talking about you know, anything. Could be, for example, you know, maybe I did a spell once for my daughter because she's struggling to find work, so I did a, you know, help her find a job kind of spell kind of thing. And you're meant to invoke certain deities, and if you do it properly, and obviously there's levels, you know, as you go from like the pure kind of stuff right up to what you would call black magic. I think the more serious it gets, the more, and there has been proven evidence of people that have, you know, invoked certain deities, gods or spirits to end someone's life, or, you know, things like that, and they've actually happened. So yeah, I think there's definitely something in it.
And I always wondered, you know, when you have a ritual, for example, in a fraternity, that they keep a lot of their rituals pretty secret, because from the outsider it looks like silliness, right? And even to a new pledge, it might look like silliness, and maybe it doesn't matter that most people view it as silliness. If the higher ups believe they're actually doing an actual ceremony, it doesn't matter if the little pledgelings down below understand what they're doing. It's just that they go through the ritual. The craziest thing I'll say is, one of the biggest occult rituals that people, I feel like, if there's something to it, the Olympics. The Olympics have some of the weirdest ceremonies you've ever seen, and there's all kinds of weird symbolism. And I feel like the entire world is in on this big ritual taking place right under their noses, not realizing they're participating in some great big orchestrated ritualistic thing that they don't even know what they're doing. But does it matter? Does it still gain power because you got the masses going along with this group think and participating in the ritual? It's crazy.
100%. I think it's probably more things like that. The Olympics, there's probably others as well, which is something that's done, you know, has been going on for centuries, and we just don't even question it. But yeah, definitely. What's your take? Have you seen or read any evidence of what I was just talking about?
About the darkness creeping into these places?
The power of, you know, invocation kind of thing.
Yeah, I think there is something. I think there is something to it. It's hard because, again, on the true crime channel, I try to separate some of that spiritualism stuff with that. But you have to ask questions, like, because people have asked before, like, is the Idaho 4 thing in partly happening because of the things that they do and the rituals that they go through and the fraternities, and did that spill over into the house on some kind of evil that possessed somebody, if you want to use that term, to do something that dark, you know, or is it just simply at the end of the day going to be jealousy or greed or drugs or random incel who can't get a woman, has to go kill everybody?
Your question 1-1 was just wondering if black magic could be used for good. Yes, it can, because you can use black magic to stop someone else doing harm. So you can bind someone from doing harm, which is, you know, it's doing something good. So yeah, either doing harm to someone else, doing harm to themselves. But yeah, you know, it depends on how far you go into. I think black magic's been given a bad name. People think of it as being used for, you know, invoking the devil and stuff like that, which it's not. Right. It's just, I think it's just the more serious stuff that you want to get into. But yeah. You Susie Little B, I love your name. Creating energies through unities. Yeah, definitely. I think there's something to be said about combined energy when you think about it. You know, the bigger the crowd, the bigger the energy it creates. Definitely.
Right. Yeah, that's what I personally feel like there is something to group group dynamics add energy to whatever you're doing. So even music and rock concerts are its own form of generating a bunch of energy. I know I'm all over the place on esoteric shit, but anyways, it's stuff I think about a lot.
Yeah. Can you use black magic for addiction? Do you mean to cure addiction, I presume? Probably. A lot of the time, black magic is pretty much just like manifestation. So it's setting an intention, and the power behind that intention, because you're using it, you're invoking it, makes it more powerful. It makes it more, how do I put it? It's like you believe your intention more than if you were just going to sit here and say, like, for example, I manifest no longer feeling the power of an addiction. Whereas if you do it and you put a spell behind it, or you invoke, spirit or a deity to help you kick an addiction, it's like you have this kind of belief that something's happening. Does that make sense? It's like, yeah. I'm no expert at all on stuff when it comes to witchcraft. I've got a couple of friends who've been doing it way longer than me, and I've literally just dipped my toe in the water and that's it. But there are some people I know who take it very seriously, and they've built up, their own book of shadows and stuff like that, which is fascinating. But I just don't have time. I wish I did. I wish I had time to kind of like study it and get into it. And like you doing the Book of Enoch on your channel, that book's sitting on my bookshelf and I keep meaning to get it out and read it. And it's just one of those things, along with everything else that I'm doing. So I was going to actually ask, which changes the where we're going slightly, because it's off the back of the live that I did with you a couple of weeks ago. And we were sort of briefly touching on our paranormal experiences, personal paranormal experiences. And you mentioned, we mentioned about animals and how they can react to any spiritual presence and things like that.
Yeah.
I just wanted to put it out there, and I'm going to speak about mine and let you speak about yours, about personal paranormal experiences. Has anyone had any significant paranormal experiences in their life? Like, have you seen a ghost, or do you think you've experienced the presence of a spirit, kind of thing? And just to kick it off, I lived in a house probably about how many years ago now? It would be, so I was living there from sort of early 2000s, and it became kind of apparent fairly quickly after moving in that something was in that house. It was just a feeling that you just sensed something. Anyway, and we were living there for, gosh, must have been 3 years, not long. It was about 3 years. But as the time went by, more and more things started to happen. So the first thing I'd see is a cat out the corner of my eye. I'd see a black cat, and it'd always be jumping from one place to another, which was really confusing because I actually had a black cat.
Oh, wow.
So I'd be like, I'd see this cat jumping, and then I'd look, and my cat would be, like literally in front of me laying down. And I'd be like, well, that wasn't her. So first thing was the cat. I'd see the cat. And then the amount of things that happened, which were just, when I think about it, they're terrified. They were terrifying. This house had 3 levels, and it was summertime, and we decided, because the basement was kind of decorated, the walls were painted, it was livable, it had a carpet, all that kind of stuff. And because it was so cool down there, we decided to put our bed down there and sleep down there for the summer. And I do remember before doing this, even though it didn't bother me, because we used to have to, the electricity meter, this was back in the day when I was really poor and I had no money, and we used to have to literally like top up the electricity meter manually. And I'd have to go down there and manually kind of feed the electricity meter in the dark. And I remember constantly seeing orbs all the time in the dark, but it never really bothered me. Anyway, so this one night, and we're down there, and again, I didn't ever feel uncomfortable until this happened. Lying there, myself and my partner, and no word of a lie, I was lying there with both my arms above my head, so my arms were nowhere near the actual quilt cover, and I can feel the duvet literally moving across my body, just inching, like little
Like
inchy,
being pulled
like
off, or
being pulled across like this way. So
Okay.
it was like it was being pulled like this, literally bit by bit, bit by bit. And I'm lying there and I'm thinking, oh shit, I really hope that this is John. And I look across and he's fast asleep, and I was like, oh hell no. Literally, I don't know what it was, but there was something on the other side of the bed that was pulling the duvet cover across us. And that was the first thing. And then later on, like probably a couple of months later, I was getting ready for bed, was taking my makeup off, and I had the strongest sensation that something was strangling me. Like it came out of nowhere.
Oh.
And I literally jumped. My partner was in bed and I was like going, something strangling me, and I was not screaming, but I was panicking. And he's just looking at me like, what is wrong with you? Like literally like, what's wrong with you? There's nothing there. And I started trying to investigate what had gone on in that house. I needed to know who had lived there before. I know that it was built in around the early 1900s. And I just thought someone in that house is either, I can't use the words, but someone has done it themselves, you know, like, or something else has happened. But from that moment on, I saw a shadow, a literal shadow. I was on my own in the house, and it's so annoying. These things happen when you're on your own because you want someone else to be there to say, I just saw that. Did you just see that? And
Yes.
there's never someone there. And I was literally lying on my bed, just relaxing, and my bedroom door was open. And I saw this black shadow move across the wall. It was as clear. It was as if it was someone's shadow without the person being there, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And I thought, what the hell was that? And I could make out what they were wearing. They were wearing like a long dress. They were even wearing a hat. And I just thought, look for the logical explanation. So because right opposite that shadow was the bathroom, and I knew that there was a window, and I thought, well, maybe there's a house opposite with a window and someone was walking across the window, and that's what I've seen. So I've gone out and checked the bathroom, and no, there's no window. And I was like, just loads of things like that happened. But anyway, what's your most significant paranormal experience?
It's funny because so much of what you just said is my life as well. Like I always look for the explanation first, and I start looking for the scientific. Well, hold on now, the light could have been here, and like I do the same thing you do, which I think is funny because we kind of believe in all this stuff, but yet we still look for the.
You have to look for the logical first,
right? You want to rule out everything first. I think I've told the story before, but I had an apartment that I call my apartment from hell, and it was a period in my life when I was doubting. I grew up Christian, and I was doubting God, and I said, foolishly enough, one day, I wish I could just see an evil spirit, because apparently God's not going to show himself. So if the devil or a demon shows himself, because apparently that happened, like then I would know that the spiritual world exists. Well, crazy shit happened. I as well saw shadows that went across my wall, where like the light from the hallway would be shining into my room, but a shadow would go across the door where there's no light coming in. Like it's hard to explain, but again, a shadow would pass across the doorway from no light source. I'm like, how the hell did that happen? And I got spit on in my bed one time, where I felt like something just like drops of water, and there's nothing that can cause that, just gonna happen on my bed. And I was like, weird stuff happened.
Did all this stuff start happening after you'd invoked this evil spirit?
Yeah. All of that stuff. And I wouldn't see, that's the thing. Like I fall short of saying I invoked something evil. I think because what I talked about, I just did a video on this on my Beyond channel. Once I changed my frame of reference to say that it was evil or bad, I've never had a scary experience since. I have curiosity now, but those kind of events scared me at the time a little bit, because my frame of reference was it's a devil, it's a demon, or whatever. Once I changed my paradigm, my relationship to the paranormal changed. So, but there was crazy stuff. There's so much. I can't even name all the crazy things that have happened. Those are just some, but you know.
Yeah. Susie Little B mods, can you help me out, please? Sue, who's Ed to her? What does that mean?
So here's what happened. When you were talking about the story about the duvet being pulled off of you, someone says his name is Ed. Who's Ed? So it was like somebody was getting a premonition about who was pulling. That's what I got the impression later, that you were like, something was pulling, and someone said his name is Ed. So who's Ed, Sue? Like, was Ed pulling the duvet? Was that what they were trying to say? That's the impression I got there. Someone was trying to tell you that they got a message that Ed was the one pulling the duvet off of you, but maybe I read that wrong.
Okay.
That's when it was mentioned.
I can't think of anyone apart from, I had an ex called, no, his name wasn't Ed. His surname was Eddie. No, don't know anyone called Ed. But yeah. So many things in that house happened. It used to terrify me. Once I'd had a couple of bad experiences, but very much like you, now that I've kind of opened up to, you know, understanding things and understanding you do have control, there's certain things I wouldn't touch, like Ouija boards, and I did mess around with them when I was at like college, and that's a whole other story. I don't know if you ever had experience with Ouija board.
Yeah.
It just invited darkness into my life. I just found that after, because it becomes addictive. Me and my friend used to just constantly be on it in our spare time. It's just an addiction. And the amount of bad stuff that started happening to both of us was just horrendous. Actually, I had a friend, Lena, she was my best friend. And she's one of those friends that you make and you know they're going to be your friend for life kind of thing. She ended up getting, used to do the Ouija board together all the time. Anyway, she ended up getting expelled from the school. She was American as well. And I'll never forget that day because I was crying my eyes out because it was a boarding school. We were at an international boarding school. So we kind of lived together. And, you know, I was just devastated that I wasn't going to be spending the rest of my time in that school with her. Anyway, she went off and was doing her own thing, and she met some boyfriend who was a little bit reckless. You know, he was into D-rugs and fast cars and stuff. But she used to write to me back in the day when you used to write a letter, you know, and she used to write to me and tell me how an amazing life she was having and la la la. Anyway, she ended up getting killed in a car accident. Really, really sudden. She was in his car and he was speeding, and apparently the car just went under a truck. And they were killed instantly. And I just think back to, I don't know, I always associate it with the stuff we were messing around with, you know?
Yeah.
But
that's kind of scary. I mean, I've never had bad experiences, although I was raised to fear Ouija boards, and so it took me forever to even try to get one. And then I got one. And at first I was like, well, Milton Bradley makes the board. How bad can it be? It's like literally a game company that makes the board. How bad can it be? And so we got a Ouija board, and it never really worked for me as an adult. It worked for me as a teenager when I made my own board, but it didn't work when I bought one from Milton Bradley. But I wanted to go back just one second about the cat thing, because I forgot to tell you this story. It was really cool. My wife and I, when we were living in Everett, we had a cat, and I called her my spirit kitty, because she saw shit in the house that the other cats didn't see. And all the time she freaked us out. Stormy was her name. And she would see shit above our bed. She'd stare at shit, and she'd watch stuff, and she'd make the little chatter like she'd be seeing a bird. Like,
wow.
and all the time we were like, what the fuck do you see? Like, sorry, pardon my language. I get excited. I start dropping F-bombs. But she did it all the time. And what was sad is I was starting to work with a tarot deck at the time. I'm kind of practicing communication with it, and I had some kind of weird message about my cat, and she got out and got hit by a car, and I lost my spirit kitty. So it kind of sucks, but I still remember her because she used to see shit on I wish Rhonda was here to tell you, like, that cat saw shit on our ceiling all the time, and it kind of freaked us out a little. Like, I don't have fear of it so much, but I'm like, what are you looking at that you see on this? Like, we kept looking for bugs. Like, is it a bug? Like, how come no other cat sees it?
Yeah, but she wasn't. Weird. She was. It's not like she was scared of it. She was.
No.
Yeah,
curious,
it's going to be, could be someone in spirit watching over you, probably. Yeah. Interesting though, because I remember your story about the cat that did freak out. You were telling the story about the cat that
when my mom saw the
the most bizarre thing happened the other night here. Like I said to you, I never get a bad vibe here. Very rarely. Sometimes I'll do a reading and I'll be like, whoa, something just feels off and I'll have to do a cleanse. But so I was just sitting minding my own business not long before I go to bed, and I've got a window here, and both cats, I've got 2 cats, got George and Moose. And you know how something freaks a cat out and it just jumps and then scrambles to run away?
Yeah.
So that happened with one of them. Like something made him jump. In fact, they both jumped. They both jumped at exactly the same time, then ran around the corner. And I was like, what was that? And I was like looking out the window. It was dark, so I couldn't see what was going on outside. Plus, there couldn't be anything in the garden because my back gate is so hard to open. It's ridiculous. You'll hear someone coming because they can't open it. And they wouldn't do that if it was a cat, because cats do come and visit. They would not jump out of their skin and run away. Yeah. So anyway, they're coming back, the pair of them, like really tentatively, and they're coming around the corner, and they're looking not that way, but they're looking this way towards my kitchen. Both of them, like really, what the hell was that? And it happens again. And they jump out of their skin and they go running around the corner again. And I'm like, what the hell? By this time, I'm getting really nervous.
Yeah.
I'm kind of tentatively looking myself to see what's going on. And I have no idea, except that my calendar, which is pinned very securely to a wall, was on the floor. But I can understand that making them jump the first time, but what made them jump the second time?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's weird. Something happened.
It's very interesting. I love that stuff. And again, so much of you is doing the same thing I do. You go, the cats could have jumped because the thing fell off. Like you still look for the logical answer first, but then you're like, but how does that explain? I do this all the time. This is how
it's really unusual behavior. And I say, oh yeah, they're always freaking out. They're jumping like that at everything, but they're not, that's just really something really, and also both of them right. At the same time. I was like,
and I might say intuitively, there was something that they saw. Like, you just know intuitively there's something they saw. But yeah, it's crazy stuff. Animals see stuff. I'm convinced of it. The animals see stuff that we don't see. I got a friend that keeps a cat just for looking for spirit stuff in his house, and he likes to kick stuff out of his house. It's kind of fun. Like I don't generally kick stuff. By the way, I was going to ask you this is totally random. Smudging. Do you believe that I heard a legend that for example, using white sage has a different effect than, say, Palo Santo would for smudging, because one will drive, like, I can't remember what it is now. One will drive out all spirits, and one only drives out evil spirits. And I'm like, and it was funny because, and I can't remember which one it was. I think Palo Santo drives everything out, kind of thing, whereas white sage is kind of like just like evil spirits kind of thing. Tradition. I don't know. Do you know?
I don't know. I've always felt that white sage is just kind of like a general, not too heavy duty.
Yeah.
If you want to, like, I use white sage every day to cleanse my decks. I do a ritual before every private reading. I do a little ritual and I cleanse my decks with white sage. But I bring out the Palo Santo when I feel like there's a dark energy in the house, because as far as I'm aware, Palo Santo is like, is it something to do with it's linked to, where have I got the Santa Muerte? What's that?
This Mexican I'm trying to think of the word. Yeah, you were close. I think you had it. You maybe the Santa Muerte or whatever. I'm not sure.
Yeah. So it stinks as well. It doesn't smell nice. So I wouldn't want to use it every day.
Right. I mean, it's funny because the reason I bring it up is because I invite paranormal experiences into my life. Like, I'm not afraid of paranormal experience. In fact, I welcome them because I'm curious, right? So when I was looking into it, I'm like, well, I don't want something that drives all spirits from my house, because I'm intrigued by the paranormal. So I don't want to kick everything out of my house. If it does work, I just want to kick out something that's trying to screw with me. But
I think it's your intention. It's like whatever you're using, whether it's white sage or Palo Santo, then you have to make a chant, whether it's in your head or out loud, and say which is what I do if I have to, you banish dark energy, or lost spirits, and you invite purity and, you know, all of that. So you don't end up banishing everyone at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think you nailed it. For me, I think a lot of it's intention. It's your intent. It's you have to set an intention and then go through. I'm going to put it my own thing, but I believe in you set an intention and you go through a ritual, and those two things, it's like showing belief behind your intention. I set an intention and then I'm going to go do something, and now I'm putting more action into my intention, and that gives it power, more energy. And
definitely. And then you feel, it's like, and you go by feel as well. Like I'll be, if I ever have to do a cleanse, I'll go around every single room and I think I've missed something's not been, I feel like something's missing. Oh, I didn't do the porch, you know, or I'll go and do that. And then sometimes I'll think, no, it still doesn't feel right. And I'll go around and do it all again. But it's just, you feel it, you sense it, you sense the atmosphere clearing.
When you're good. Have you
ever done a cleanse in your home or anything like that?
Yeah. I have. I want to know your answer to this question, by the way, but yes, I've done a cleanse in my house too. Yeah.
If you're not given your first deck, is it okay to pursue using tarot cards? Thank you, loves to run. Yeah, of course it is. Of course it is. If you feel drawn to tarot, then you should read tarot, you know. There's always a reason, I think, that you're going to be drawn to certain things. And some people are drawn to tarot. Some people are drawn to, you know, scrying. Some people are drawn to dowsing, you know, all of these things. But usually you'll find that there's always some kind of thread that will run through your life where tarot's been a part of your life in some way, even in the background, or that you've just been always interested in watching tarot readings. Or does that make sense? So yeah, definitely. You don't have to wait to be gifted a deck.
Yeah.
Queen of Jokers 13. Can you give a little insight of how animal readings work? So it depends on whether you're reading for a living animal or an animal that's passed. But it works exactly the same way as for a person, because at the end of the day, animals have, you know, they are sentient beings the same way that people are. They have feelings, they have, you know, emotions, they have fears, they have oh, look, talk of the devil.
Do your job.
Yeah, so it literally, I'll just tap into their energy, and it's fascinating. I love doing pet readings because, you know, I get to sort of read their thoughts and pass them on to their owners. Like I did a pet reading it was for a cat, and I know nothing about this cat except its name. Nothing more than that. Sometimes people send me a picture, but this particular cat was, you know, very happy, contented, but also used to spend a long time just dreaming about going out and exploring the world, and, you know, all this kind of thing. And this person lived over here, and over here it's 50-50 as to whether or not your cat is an outdoor cat or an indoor cat. And I know in the States, it's majority of cats are indoor cats. So I didn't know whether this cat was an outdoor cat or an indoor cat, but I just kept picking up this cat, like, you know, dreaming about, you know, climbing that tree, or, you know, looking out the window, and he'd spend hours in front of the window, and the owner said to me, yeah, he does. He spends, I know that's a normal thing for cats, but I think she actually asked me the question, if there's anything I can do to make him happier, can you tell me what that is? And the cat said, yes, let me out.
Oh, no, didn't the cat ever come back after it got out?
No, she didn't. She just didn't let him out. She's like, well, no, not that. You're not going out. That's exactly what my cats would say, because they've been
like, free me
now for about 3 months. And if I was going to ask them that question, they'd be exactly the same. Let me out.
Oh, that's funny. Was this a living cat or a dead cat? Was this a past cat or a living cat?
This was a living cat. This was
okay. I was feeling like the departed spirit of the cat's like, can I go free now from this house? No, you're staying in this house for the rest of eternity.
I'm sure that happens as well.
That's funny.
Yeah.
That's good stuff.
So yeah,
it's funny that the cat popped up right when you're talking about pet readings.
I know. If anyone wants a reading, by the way, you can book it. There's always a link in the description of all my videos. So yeah, and I do pet readings as well. So if you do have a pet and you'd like to find out what they're really thinking.
Yeah.
So
awesome.
you've got like a ridiculous amount of cats, apparently, Lee.
I've got 5 cats.
Oh, you had
5
to think
cats.
then. How many?
Well, yeah, because we've had a cat pass, and then we got another cat.
Oh,
yeah, we've got 2 girls that were from the same litter, and then we've got 2 boys, and then we picked up a 5th kitten just recently. Oh. And then I've got a couple of dogs on top of that, so the house is full.
Wow. Yeah. If I could have, I mean, George here, who you can't see, is just off camera. He's now, how old are you, George? You're the same age as my granddaughter. So he's 14. And so he's you know, he's not old for a cat, but he's getting on a bit.
Sure.
But my other cat, who is his companion, who he'd known from the moment he was born, he was, you know, Fred was here sort of thing, and he was the older cat, and he passed a couple of years ago. It was about nearly 3 years ago now. So once Fred was gone, and I just needed another cat, and I've always wanted a Maine Coon, so I went out and got Moose as a kitten, thinking that George would be fine with it because he is the most docile, placid, beautiful soul that, you know, as far as cats are concerned. He's never raised a claw to me ever.
Yeah.
And I just thought he'd be fine. He's you know, he's a lovely, beautiful cat. And then I brought Moose home, and boy, oh boy, did I see a different side to George. Like, he was, oh my God, he was furious, absolutely furious. And he literally didn't talk to me for about 18 months.
Oh.
He just became a different cat. He used to go, and he didn't want to be in the same room as me.
Wow.
He was grieving. I didn't know how hard he was grieving Fred. And for me to just bring this other, you know, cat into the house. But they love each other now. So yeah, it's funny, isn't it?
Yeah, that is. Yeah, I've seen cats take serious attitude when I leave or get another cat. What do you think about those? Do you see the numbers question come up? The person that sees 1111s, LA designs. Yeah,
LA designs. I always see 1111 and triple numbers as well. Is there any significance to this? Definitely. I'm the same. I always see 1111, or an 11, or 3 ones, or, you know, it's always a combination of ones. And I don't think it's coincidence. I don't think it's because some people will say it's unconscious bias kind of thing. I don't think it is, because for example, I don't look at my phone for the time very often at all. These days, I'll ask, even though it's terrible, it's so lazy, isn't it? The fact that I won't pick up my phone to check the time, I'd rather ask that person that begins with an A, what's the time? Yeah.
Yeah, you don't want to say it or you'll get a
no.
Yeah, I'll tell you the time.
Yeah, so very rarely do I actually switch on my phone to see what the time is. But honestly, the amount of times when I do, and it's 11 minutes past 11, is crazy. But 1111 is meant to be significant for, it's meant to be new beginnings, because the number one is all about new beginnings, new opportunities and potential and that kind of thing. But there must be more to it than that, because otherwise my whole life is just one big new beginning, and it's not, obviously. But do you have a number that you see more often than others?
Me?
Yeah.
I have had a period of my life where I frequently would wake up at 3 a.m. 3 or 333. That was a common thing. I'd wake up and see 333. There's a reason, I think, why it's called the witching hour. Things happen at like 3 a.m. and weird things in your consciousness happen. But I would often awaken, and it would be 3 o'clock on the nose or 333. Like, it would be one of the, it was either 3 on the nose or 333. Very, very strange thing. So I had that happen during a period of my life. Not so much anymore. Now my sleep schedule is all over the place. In fact, I'm working right now on getting my sleep schedule back in a normal rhythm. But I do have times that I would wake up, and it's weird, because I will get a feeling you need to look at the clock. Like I'll wake up and I'm like, look at the clock right now. And I'll look and I'll see the number and I'm like, why did I feel like I was just told, like almost like a verbal voice says, look at the clock. And I look and I'm like, oh, look, it's 111, it's 333. And I'll recognize it and I'll just kind of like, oh, that's cool. And I go back to sleep.
Do you ever do that thing where you kind of tell yourself, like before you look at the clock, what the time is, and it is that time?
I try to do that a lot. I'm like, I try to guess like what time it should be. It feels like it's like 1:30 in the morning, but I'm usually off on those things. I'm usually way off.
Yeah. I find it really weird, especially with just, I don't know, for no reason, like you say, wake up and I'll just think, oh, it's 2:03 and look at the clock and it's 2:03. And I'm like, how do you know?
That's awesome.
How do you know? Awesome. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Sue, what is the name of the tarot course you took from Gen A 22? It was a course. I did two, actually. I did one just to learn the basics of a deck, which was on Center of Excellence, which they do. Go and take a look. They do some free courses, but they also do paid courses, but they also have amazing discounts. Like, for example, I did that whole course, which was quite comprehensive, to learn all of the meanings of tarot, including the numerology, including astrology, including Kabbalah, all of the stuff that's associated with tarot. And it was only 29 quid, 29 pounds. Wow. And then I did a course on the intuitive side of tarot. You think you wouldn't need to do a course on intuition, but I just wanted to, find the connection kind of thing. And that was with a lady called Linda Rausch. I found her on Facebook, and it was a once a week meeting kind of thing, where she'd just talk through various aspects of learning a tarot deck intuitively. She was the lady that helped me meet my spirit guides. Interestingly, she made us all sit and do a meditation, which was 5 minutes, something like that, to meet the spirit guides, and bang, I met them and never looked back. So that's awesome. Yeah.
I feel like it's a little presumptuous for me to do it, but I've had a very long desire to do an instructional series of videos on tarot and stuff like that, and kind of break into the traditional meanings, and like you said, the astrology and Kabbalah and all these different things. And I've wanted to do that for a long time. I even have on my computer, I have a slideshow where I started to teach at one time using a deck. And so someday on this Beyond channel, I might also have a series. Hell, maybe we could do a series together and we could teach it together.
I mean, I started doing, before I separated my channels, and I was doing all the astro readings on my true crime channel. I was doing a series of learning tarot, starting with the major arcana, and then anyway, so I did move it across to the astro channel, and I just kind of lost, I have to admit, I've not done any of the tutorials for a while, but yeah, it's interesting, because it is so complex, but you have to start somewhere. For people that don't even know anything about tarot, you just have to start with the basics. But you can, honestly, there's material on a tarot deck to keep you going for ages. Literally. Yeah. There was a comment earlier from one that I missed.
Yeah, real quick, Cat Farm, thank you, by the way, for gifting a membership on my side on the Beyond channel. Thank you so much. I love it. Thank you very much. Oh, yeah, one's comment was about a dream, here he goes.
Can you explain what it means when you feel like you're actually part of a dream and really there? So you're talking about lucid dreaming. What does it mean? I don't know. There's lots of theories about lucid dreaming. Is it something to do with past lives? It depends on the dream, I think it does depend an awful lot on the context of the dream. Like, for example, has anyone ever actually dreamt? They say it can't happen, but has anyone ever actually dreamt that they've died in a dream? Because I have.
I don't
because
know
they say if you die in your dream, you die in real life.
Yeah. I think I have died in a dream before myself.
Yeah. I don't know. I think there is a reason why you have some dreams that are just so realistic that you never forget them. There's some dreams that you never ever forget throughout your whole life. And there's a reason for them, you know. They're in some way kind of disturbing as well, I find. I had one the other night actually, which was really weird. I kept having dreams about water, specifically about my bath. I don't know why. And one of them was about my daughter, which was really disturbing. That I've got 2 daughters. So one of my daughters, we were chatting in the living room, and my other daughter was in the bath. And next thing I know is there's water coming through the ceiling, but after the water's blood. And I'm like, why is there water and blood coming through the ceiling? And Jen, my daughter, is like, don't worry about it. It's fine. It's normal. It's like, it's not normal. There's something terrible's happened. Something terrible's happened. And I go up halfway up the stairs, and Natalie's on the stairs, semi-naked, kind of half wrapped in a towel, not making any sense. And I know instantly something terrible's happened, that she's injured herself. She's banged her head. You know, she's not making sense. And I also know in that dream that she's not going to survive. How awful.
Yeah.
Absolutely terrifying. And then I had another dream about one of my cats being submerged under the water. And it made me wake up like that, like really suddenly.
Wow. Laura, Regina, I can't even pronounce it. But anyway, thank you so much for the gift memberships. Even if I can't say it right. See, I said it both ways. That way, regardless of which I went, it'll be right somewhere. Thank you so much for the gifted memberships on my side. Appreciate it very much. Yeah, I love all these stories. It's kind of, we're just like all over the place all of a sudden, but you know, it's I like it. I think a lot of people really enjoy the personal stories that we've been through as well. So
yeah. Here comes Karma. You just said, I wrote about my lucid dream earlier in this live about being in bed with a couple from like the 1900s. I didn't get the rest of that. Wow. Yeah, because one you were asking that question. Let me just read it again. Hold on. In this live about being in bed with a couple from like the 1900s. I declined going on a haunted house tour the next morning because of it. Turns out in the tour.
And there's more to come.
Dun,
in
dun,
the
dun.
tour. What's that? Yeah, dun dun dun.
Wow. The man unalived the girl and buried the body in the basement where the haunted house tour was. Wow. That's crazy. Oh, no. Sorry. My cat is deciding to get on the keyboard.
I just had a conversation, by the way, with somebody about, we were talking about dreams and ones that stick with you.
Yeah.
And I won't tell this person's dream because I don't know that she wants the story told to everybody. So I won't say her name or her dream, but what stuck to me was she's not really a believer in paranormal and spiritualism, stuff like that. She's very scientific minded, but she said there was this one time when I was young. I think she was like, you know, like preteen or 10 or something like that. And she said, and she gave an extremely vivid recounting of a dream that she had about things that she knew. She saw things and she knew what they meant, and she knew what the meaning was, and she knew that she was supposed to do something and she chose not to. And then she never had that experience ever again. Like it was her one brush with the paranormal. Like she was invited by something to engage and said, no, thanks, I'll pass. And then that was it for them. And I thought, how strange though is it I told her, I said, you know, if you haven't repeated that over and over again where it burned in your memory, how weird is it that you still all hold on to that dream, that was such a significant dream from your childhood that you still remember that dream, at the time that you kind of passed up the offer, if you will. It's interesting.
I think your dreams can definitely be a portal to the spirit world, 100%. When you think about people that pass in your life, loved ones or people close to you that pass, quite often it's very common for people to have a dream, you know, very soon after they pass about that person, which is usually the parting dream kind of thing. But also I think, you know, you can dream about, you know, and do you ever wonder about the people you dream about that you don't recognize and you've never met? And do you ever wonder who they are?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
For sure. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
What's the other thing I was going to say? Oh, I just thought something and I've lost my train of thought, but
I think on the same, well, hopefully you'll get it back on the same thing. I don't know if it's an old age thing, but the older I get, the more everyone I meet starts to look very familiar to me. Like I know that person. Like there's a lot of people now I meet on the street where I'm like, I know you from somewhere. And I don't know if it's an age thing or an opening up of awareness. Like I feel like there's a lot of people that I feel like I know I don't know them, but yet I know them. Like I'm like, I know that person. And like I'm certain I've never met them, but I know them somehow. It's weird. It's hard to explain.
Well, they say on the logical aspect again, they say that every single experience you have, whether you see something, whether you hear something, whether you, even if it's passing a road sign or, if you're driving somewhere and you're looking at the things that pass your vision, doesn't matter how much information you take in, it's logged, everything is logged. So yeah, it makes you wonder, I don't know if that's where it comes from, or if it is something else, if there's something. Yeah. It's weird. I can tell you it's weird. And it sometimes makes me sometimes I don't do it because I'm actually relatively shy, but sometimes I want to go up to a stranger and be like, hey, I know this is really weird, but like, I feel like I know you, but I'm like, no, that's especially if it was a female, I'm not doing that because it's going to look really bad. But like, even if it was a male, like they're going to find it a little bit weird. Like, dude, I don't know who you are, but I feel like we know each other. I'm like, get away from me, creepo. Talking about, dreams where you were just explaining about your friend who kind of was given the opportunity to not engage, kind of thing. Do you believe in being able to do a deal with the devil?
Well, that's such a deep thing. I've known somebody who's made a deal with the devil. And so and I've seen weird things in their life. So do I think they did something? I don't know. I guess the hardest part for me is I have religious baggage. So the term devil means different things to me.
Yeah.
Like I don't believe in the traditional view of the devil, but do I believe that a person can make some kind of agreement with an entity? I do think that's the case. I'll follow up with one further thought. I think it's a bit arrogant So this is just me. So I hope this doesn't offend anybody. The idea that, like, for example, I'll sell my soul to the devil for a pair of jeans that I want, kind of thing, that kind of deal, kind of thing. I feel like how arrogant that you think that some entity needs to make some deal with you. Like it's like, why do you think that they need your soul so bad that whatever the hell that means, that you need to bargain with them to like, well, I want something now and I'll give you my soul for eternity. Like, the whole concept makes me
I get what you mean. Yeah. Thank you so much, 11, for the memberships. Thank you so much. Gosh, I love this live streaming thing. It's great, isn't it?
Yeah. And you see, you're a natural. You're all over it. I mean, it's great. Yeah.
So the reason I asked that question is, and I completely understand what you're saying about, because there's a whole other, thing we can discuss about actually what is the devil, what is God, are they people, or are they, are we just talking about good and evil? Is just that the representation of that, or there's people that believe they're actual beings, entities, kind of things. Yeah. But the reason I asked that question is because I had a dream myself and it was actually in that room that I was talking about when I was in the basement of that house. And I had a dream that the devil came to me and asked me, it asked me a question and said, you have a choice, you decide. And the choice was, you can either live for the next 5 years, having your dream life, having everything you want, as much money as you could possibly handle, anything that you've ever dreamed of or wanted, and then your life ends in 5 years.
Oh, wow.
Or you can live until you're 103, but just live a kind of mundane, mediocre, nothing special kind of life. Which one do you want?
I want to know the answer. What did you say?
So I was terrified of dying. I didn't want to die. So but it can't have been, it can't have been real, because I'm definitely not living I'm not living a mediocre, mundane life.
Yeah. So you're living a better than mediocre life. So you got to better the deal. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did I tell you about the time that I was invited to have a heart attack in a movie theater?
Sorry, you were
I was invited to have a heart attack in a movie theater.
No.
It was a weird experience. I was watching this movie. It's called Everything Everywhere All at Once. It was a weird movie about and it was really strange. I was in the theater by myself, and I have never had an experience like this. I had what felt like a presence sit down next to me in the theater and telepathically say, and it was in a really weird part of the movie where they were kind of like, kind of like a heaven depiction. And they said, if you wanted to go right now is a good time. Like you could just have a heart attack. You could just choose to have a heart attack and you can go right now. And this would be because you're not going to really accomplish anything left in your lifetime. It means nothing. So if you want to go, now's the time to go, or you can stay around. And I thought to myself, well, I'm not really ready to go. But the message I got from this feeling was nothing really is going to happen in your life. You're just kind of wasting time here. You've already done whatever you're going to do. So if you'd like to go, this is a good time to go. You could just go right now. And it was I've never had an experience like that before. I was just invited to check out if I wanted to. It was weird.
That is weird. And considering how inquisitive you are, I'm surprised you didn't just kind of go, well, if this is real or not, whether I should say yes and see what happens.
Just to see what happens.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think I kind of believed it too much. I was like, I think I'm going to pass on the offer today.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah.
But part of me wonders, to this day, have I really accomplished anything since that day? And will I ever accomplish anything? And what does that mean to accomplish something? So I thought, could I have just checked out and is everything I'm doing right now meaningless anyways, because I'm not going to really do anything with my life and could have moved on to something more entertaining?
I think, let me just read this comment. Jenna 22. Sue, you've mentioned in the last live with Lee that we should follow our rising sign. I'm a Leo sun, Scorpio moon, and Gemini rising. What order should I follow? So your rising sign is the most important because that is a true representation of who you are. It's how you are perceived by the outside world. So it's the only person that, you know, your sun sign is how you perceive yourself. Essentially, it's how you believe you're perceived, but that's your ego. So I would watch your rising sign first, followed by your sun sign. And then your moon sign is your emotional influences, your emotional being, what influences you emotionally, whether it's, you know, in your personal life, your career, what triggers you, all that kind of thing. So I always watch my rising sign because I only just found out recently my rising sign followed by my sun sign, followed by my moon sign. And sometimes you'll find, I mean, if you really want to get into astrology, you'll find that there's some really conflicting energy between your rising sign and your sun sign. Like, for example, right now, I think I'm right in saying Jupiter is about to enter Leo. I think this month, I'm not sure exactly when. And that has an influence on every single sign. So for example, because my rising sign is Taurus, that could be a bad thing for me. So that could make, you know, the next year, because Jupiter is going to be in Leo for the next year. That could be a really difficult time for me. However, for Gemini, it's fantastic. It's like, it's the best thing that could possibly happen. It's like, I'm going to be in my happiest period ever. So how do you work that one out? It's like, you know, but
wow.
Yeah.
Never again ever. Have I ever taken DMT? So DMT, no, but I'm an experienced psychonaut and I know enough about the experience of DMT to know DMT scares the shit out of me because that's like an instantaneous, you're there. I've taken a little slower trip to get there, but yeah, DMT, I'm still a little bit nervous about. Although the good thing about it is it's over in 15 minutes. The bad news is it feels like an eternity. So that's anyways, thanks for asking. A question we have to be careful about because we can't promote any kind of that kind of stuff. But Lee, you're not leading a mundane life. You are growing on us all. You're funny, kind, and has empathy. That's an accomplishment. Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
I was going to say exactly the same, by the way.
Yeah.
You don't feel, if you feel like you're leading a mundane life, then you're leading a mundane life. But if you're not,
right,
if you feel like you're fulfilled, then you know, that's the way I look at it. Is you don't live your life to impress someone else. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. It's kind of funny because sometimes I used to say, I just want to make a difference in one person's life. I used to say this, if I were to die knowing that something I said one day to somebody changed their life for the better in some way, I would feel like I did something on earth, right? Like I want to have been the person that gave some piece of information that was the moment that things changed for them. And I feel like that's what I wished I could do. And then I've had people tell me that they've already had that moment with me. Like, you said something that's like, so like, I guess I got nothing left to accomplish. I should have checked out should have checked out in the movie theater. But are you from New York? No.
You are doing that, and it's just that not everyone will tell you, but you are definitely doing that by doing what you're doing. Yeah.
People say that they think I'm from New York because I talk so fast.
Yeah.
What a fun conversation.
Yeah. Let's open up the floor to let's hear about people's what are your personal most significant paranormal experiences that you've had? Whether it's, have you seen a ghost, or have you had some kind of more significant interaction than just seeing one? Have you felt a ghost?
We're always telling Lee he's making a difference. Yep, Cat Farmed is one of the people who says, you are making a difference. Shut the hell up with this negative self-talk about, I'm not doing anything here. I'm just wasting my time.
The fact that you're constantly wanting to or needing to it says it all, really.
Yeah.
1-1. My sign is Aries. Moon is Scorpio. Rising sign Taurus. My rising sign's Taurus.
Nice.
True sign Aries. So
taking the bull by the horns.
Yeah. So your fiery. So your sun sign, which is what you call your true sign, you're a fiery sun sign, and your rising sign Taurus. So you're very down to earth, but you're very passionate. You're down to earth, passionate, and quite driven. Moon is Scorpio. Emotionally, Scorpios, even though it's a water sign, so emotionally, you are, how do I put this? Because it's a water sign, which is all about your emotions. The water signs are all about the emotions. So your Scorpio on the emotional front can be, do you ever get jealous? That's what I always think about Scorpios, like jealousy, a little bit of jealousy, or not jealousy necessarily, but what's a better word for it? Do you have fear of missing out? Sometimes.
FOMO. Fear of missing out. Yeah.
Yeah. Crew Dog Studio. I seen my grandpa, who was a Mason after he passed. He was a bright greenish blue aura. Freaked me out. Wow. So my dad was a Mason, but he never showed himself to me after he passed. In fact, it's taken, because he passed in 2023, and it's only this year that I've even had dreams about him, which is interesting. Potsy McPotts. Years ago, my nephew watched a little boy walk down my hallway and exit my garage door. At the same time, I heard a door shut. Nobody was there. Wow. Yeah, I've had that as well, with doors shut. And I've done that thing where you see if the window's open and did they blow shut, or we get that all the time in our house. Doors that shut. You hear his door shut and you're like, what the hell just happened? And we get those a lot in our house. But no matter what house we're in, by the way, not just the house, but any house we go to. Yeah. 1-1. Passionate is true. Is that all? Anything else? Just
that
passionate.
That is all. Passion is true.
Yeah.
When I was 10, saw a family spirit dressed like an elderly Italian woman at I just rolled off the screen. At a funeral in black with a veil. Scared me. Wish I knew what it was in our rental apartment. A lot of people, this is one of the things too, like, again, for me, a lot of people's first reaction to paranormal is fear. And inherently what they saw, in my opinion, if you were to, it wasn't scary, but they interpreted it as scary. So I wonder how many times, because we fear the unknown. Human beings fear the unknown. Then we see something we don't understand, and we're immediately afraid of it because we don't understand it. And like, what if it's bad? What if it's going to hurt me? What if it's and so our first reaction is fear, I think, to a lot of things that we don't know.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that. I had a recurring dream when I was 14 while visiting my dad that became real during a visit. It was a closed up children's insane asylum from the 50s and 60s. Wow. So you had a recurring dream while visiting your dad. I'm confused. During the visit. So was your dad in an asylum? Am I reading that right?
I have to go back and look at it.
And we've got MMF. Hold on, back to this one. So I was 14 while visiting my dad. It became real. So you dreamt that you were visiting your dad. During the visit, it was a closed up.
Yeah, that is hard to. It is hard to. I don't want to read. I don't want to read into what happened in that experience. Yeah.
A few days after my husband passed in a car accident, I'm so sorry. The doorbell rang in the middle of the night while I was sleeping in his parents' home. I waited for someone to answer the door.
Oh, there's more coming to that story, I can tell.
In the morning, his brother had seen him walk into our room during the night. Crazy.
Oh, wow. Wow. That's interesting. That's interesting.
You hear about things like that where you see someone that they're not in a place they should be, and then you find out they've passed. I sat with my mum while she was dying. That's an absolute privilege. I was the same. I was able to be with my mum when she passed. After I got home and was relaxing with eyes closed, I saw her so vividly, surrounded by light and colors. Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah. My grandma passed, and the night after, there was a dark, fuzzy being in my bedroom doorway. I asked God to take it away. I opened my eyes and it was gone. Yeah. I always think about the spirit, though, and I think, how awful for them, you know?
Yeah.
I say to people when I'm doing readings that, you know, because people say, oh, my loved one's passed, and I've been wanting a sign, but at the same time I'm terrified because I don't, you know, if I get one, I'll probably be absolutely terrified. I'll say, look, well, think about it from their point of view. They're trying to let you know they're okay. They're trying to comfort you.
Right.
And you're scared of them. Were you scared of them in life? Don't
Right.
be scared of them now, you know. It's like,
right.
how awful for them.
Right. Yeah.
Jules Mora. I was cleaning the house we moved into and had seen a little girl in a blue dress sitting on the stairs watching us. Didn't say anything to my husband. Ready for bed, he shuts off the lights, finally sees her, and oh God, he saw her as well. Yeah, now that is something when you both see the same thing. It's happened to me once. It was actually
okay,
go on.
Yeah, no, you first.
I was working, and it was a fairly, I mean, wasn't a new job, but it was a new location, and and it's always the corner of the eye thing. If you ever see spirit, it's always the corner of the eye, and you turn and it's gone. But out of the corner of my eye, saw a guy standing at the other side of the room, quite some distance away, in a very tall, wearing a suit, and turned around to my colleague, and she went, "Man in a suit," and I was like, "Yeah, man in a suit." We both saw exactly the same thing. Yeah, which is quite
awesome.
rare. Yeah,
that's awesome.
1-1. You can ask Boss Lee. He knows me well enough. I'm relentless and persistent. When something is on my mind, I work pretty much 30 hours a day.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
That sums it up, definitely.
I do not know when that guy sleeps. Yeah. I was going to comment on you talking about how bad it is for the for those who have departed, trying to talk to you or whatever, and you push them away, kind of thing. I never really genuinely knew how I believed about life after death, but when I was in Everett and my dad had passed a little while before, I did have a series of, I've told this story before, but my dad was coming. I was having memories of my dad like he used to be when he was younger, and I'd be in a dream and it wouldn't be a memory of something. It would be like someplace new, like we're hanging out and we're just having a good talk at a park. And somewhere in the middle of the dream, I would realize, wait a minute, you died. We can't be having this conversation. And then the dream would end. And that happened over and over again for a while, like a week of this reoccurring different scenario. I'd be driving with my dad and we're having a conversation. Everything's going great. We're having a great conversation. And then I'd be like, wait a minute, we can't be having this talk. You died. And then he'd go away. And then my wife was like, why do you keep reminding him he's dead? Just enjoy the experience. So I went back. I'm like, this time I'm not going to do it. Never saw him again. Like, I'm like, this time I'm not going to do it. When he comes to visit, I'm not going to say you're dead. I'm just going to I'm going to try to somehow remember, just go with the flow and enjoy the conversation. And I don't think I ever had that dream again. It was weird.
Yeah. I think that's quite common. I'll explain in a second. Lucine Fox, when my son was about 3, an incubus crawled over him to get to me. Wow. I felt its claws crawling up the bed. It sat on my chest and I yelled, get out, in my head, and it reared back and scurried off. My goodness, that's terrifying. Yeah. I've had that's what you call serious lucid dreaming, almost when you're in sleep paralysis kind of thing.
Yeah, right. Yeah, correct. Sleep paralysis. I was thinking the same thing. Yeah.
I had a dream similar to that once where I was absolutely convinced it was actually happening. I was living in Germany and we lived in a high-rise block of apartments, and I woke up absolutely convinced that the apartments were collapsing, basically, to the point where I went and checked on my daughter, who was only a baby at the time, absolutely convinced that these apartments were just collapsing. And I could feel it. I could feel the vibration. I could hear the noise. No explanation for it at all. And then I did some research afterwards, and apparently it was one of the sites that was bombed during World War II.
Wow.
And I don't know if that was the anniversary that it happened, but yeah, crazy.
Wow.
What was that last comment? Whilst this is from I'm pretty much at 4 a.m.
Pretty much at 4 a.m. There's an Idaho 4 follower.
Oh God, yeah, Dylan.
I'm pretty much at 4 a.m.
Whilst visiting my dad, I had this dream, and then one day on a drive, I saw that insane asylum. Oh, this is about the same. Okay, had a dream. Then one day on a drive, I saw the insane asylum that I was dreaming about, that I didn't know was an insane asylum at the time, but I lived in that. Okay, I get it now. Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it? How you have dreams that actually you can connect. It's like I've had dreams before about places that have a name, that I've never heard of. And then I'll remember them and I'll go and do the research in the morning and find out that place actually exists.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Queen of Jokers 13. My mum, my sister and I saw a man dressed and looked like my grandpa in the grocery store. He patted my sister and said, "She's going to be okay." My parents had just found out she was going to have heart surgery. Wow. How funny that he turns up in the supermarket. Amazing, though. Yeah.
I had a weird experience with the place, like you talked about, like getting names of places you'd never been or whatever, and finding out it's a real place. I'll try to remember the details about this, but you know how like Windows on your operating system, when your computer goes to sleep, it shows pictures of places. I had it was the weirdest experience. I had a dream, and in the dream, it was an unusual dream. I don't have dreams like this very often. I had a dream in which a spirit guide was trying to explain to me how thoughts come into your consciousness, and it showed me in this dream. This being took me in a dream to this cove along the water, where there was a wall that was that was breaking the waves from coming in, so that inside the bay, the boats wouldn't be all rocky or whatever. And so there was a thing, and I didn't know what that wall was. And so the entity was explaining to me that was called a break wave. It was something that is meant to slow down all the thoughts coming in, and that our brain has this ability to, it slows down all of the rough chaos of out there, and then it breaks that and brings it down into a signal that you can receive in your brain. And I was like, that's fascinating. And then the next day I was at work, and my Windows screensaver came up, and I saw the same city by the bay with the walls. And I was like, and I freaked out. I had to go and find, had to do some work on Microsoft where that picture came from. And it was someplace in England. And it was like, I was like, I saw that in my dream. Like that's where this entity took me to explain break waves and how it slows down consciousness. It was weird. It's weird shit. But
that's amazing.
Yeah.
Not today, Alistair. We have a child of about 10 who runs around the house wearing an oversized hoodie. Are we talking about an actual child, or we live in my deceased parents' in-law house. They had very large family, and many family events were held there. You're talking about a spirit child, not a real child, I presume. Wow. Either way, it's a good spirit, you know, if it is a spirit child. Funny that they were wearing a hoodie. Yeah. I think everyone should learn astro for themselves and the world, and that's my opinion. Yeah, definitely. It's such a complex subject, though. It's just a bit like tarot, but actually more complex than tarot, because it's so, you know, kind of brings in astronomy as well a little bit into the astrology. Yeah. Karen Intrigue. When I was 16, I woke my mum up in the middle of the night and told her the phone was going to ring with very sad news, and it was to let her know that my dad's mum had passed. Wow.
Oh, wow. That's interesting.
I wonder, do you remember what made you feel that? Had you had a dream, or you just woke up and thought, I must tell my mum? Interesting. Daenerys Targaryen. I had a reoccurring dream that I was getting a haircut, and my mum got a phone call saying something's happened to my grandpa. My mum left me and said, I'll call you and let you know what's going on. Her friend Sharon called and said she was coming to pick me up, found out my grandpa passed away. The scariest part is that this dream became reality. Wow. Yeah.
Wow,
Go on.
Go ahead. No, there's a deep question out there about UFOs. Are UFOs supernatural, actual physical aliens from another planet or universe? The future, secret government, like 5 different options. Are UFOs all of these? I was like, that's a deep question.
It
I
is.
would say yes.
Yes.
Yes. A little bit of all of it, but
yeah, it is interesting, especially with all the activity in the last couple of years. Because it kind of, why all the activity now? You know, that's the only thing I say is, why hasn't there been all this activity up until now? And is that tied to technology? Is that something to do with secret operations going on? Not so secret, and plus, how much have they managed to develop drone technology and stuff like that we don't know about because of warfare? And yeah. Here comes karma. A fiance passed away during a snowmobile accident. His favorite thing in the world. In a psychic reading, he showed up laughing, saying, I really went out with a bang, didn't I?
That's awesome.
Oh. Kim Charlton. Sue, do you believe in coincidences, or do you think everything that happens is intentional? I don't know. Coincidences. I don't think everything's intentional. I don't want to kind of box in either one of those, but I think certain things in your life happen and they're meant to happen. But you have free will. I do believe that you have free will, and you know, to a certain extent, you have control over which way your life goes. You have a choice, you know. I don't know. I feel a lot of people will get to a point in their life where they have a choice to go one way or the other. And it will be a significant, choice. It's happened to me. And that choice will define the rest of your life, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I got a friend that says he doesn't believe in coincidences. I don't think I'm there. I don't think I would say I don't believe that coincidences can happen, but I definitely believe in meaningful coincidences. I do believe in synchronicities, that there are things that it's not just a coincidence. So I think I'm kind of in the middle. I think coincidences do happen, but there's also coincidences that are meaningful.
Yeah.
And so, yeah. It's funny you mentioned, by the way, the going out with the bang, the snowmobile comment that we had on here a minute ago, because when I joke to my wife, she doesn't find this as funny as I do, but I joke to my wife, when we're in true crime and we're poking the bear and we could be unveiling a drug cartel hit or whatever. And I was like, you realize that if we get close to the actual killers and that we could be killed, like shut that guy up because he's putting too many dots together kind of thing. And I said, here's the great thing. What a great story we'll have to tell in the afterlife. Like, how'd you die? Oh, I died of a heart attack. Boring. I unpoked a bear and got murdered by a cartel. Damn, that's interesting.
Exactly.
So I'll have a better story.
But seriously, it's like, someone asked the question very occasionally, because I don't get time to read all the comments on my videos. I don't know if it's the same for you.
Yeah.
But occasionally I'll see something kicking off, in the comments, where there'll be someone that comes in and just says, this is a load of bull, and, everyone jumps on them. And anyway, this particular person had said, it was about a reading I did on Xana, and she basically revealed to me the person that took her life.
Yeah.
And this person clearly hadn't watched the video in any detail, because she started kicking off about, or he or she, I don't know. Oh, spirit, how interesting that spirit can engage with you and show you all this stuff, but they can't give you the name of the person, and all they can do is give you an initial. And actually what she did was she did give me the name of the person, but quite often it will happen that you are engaging with spirit and they don't give you the name. They'll give you a reference, or they'll give you a symbolic, maybe an initial, and people ask, why is that? And I think because it's to do with what we're dealing with, they're actually protecting me. They're not going to give me the name of the person because that's putting me in danger.
Yeah.
But I have to work it out for myself, kind of thing. The only person that ever did that, actually, now that I think about it, was Xana and Ethan. Both of them just directly gave me the name.
Oh, wow.
Which is interesting.
That is interesting.
Yeah. Cheryl, Brandon, very much enjoying this live with the two of you. Opens doors to who you are and your personal truths. Thank you. I'm enjoying it too. Thank you, Cheryl.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Yeah.
With the Idaho case, it's tough because so I kind of along the I'll be generic before we get into specifics or whatever on Idaho for, but when you talked about like why somebody doesn't just get the flat out name or whatever, sometimes my explanation for that has been some people are more in touch with the spirit realm than other. And so myself, for example, I might just get intuitions and feelings, and my read on it may not be very good because I'm not super connected to that world, but somebody else might be a true medium and have a lot better communication method. And so the person who has a stronger tie might get an actual name, whereas somebody who's just kind of like got a peripheral, like I'm kind of connected to that world, but I can't read it super well. I might just get an intuition. Like I think it has something to do with somebody in a red dress by a pond, and that's as good as I can get. Whereas somebody else, a medium, might be like, no, it's Susan with the red dress with the candlestick in the kitchen, like whatever. So I don't know. Like I think it might have to do with how closely we are to that.
I don't know. I think there might be an element of that, but I also think you've got to trust what you're feeling 100%, because if you question it, I think there's an element of spirit going, are you questioning me? I'm not giving you any more.
Yeah.
Do you see what I mean? It's like
you're doubting. I'm giving you the answer and you're going to doubt me.
Yeah. You telling me I'm lying? Right. Let's go to someone else. So
open enough. Yeah.
Yeah. Here comes karma. Sue and Lee, do you believe aliens live with us on Earth? Do you know what? This whole thing about aliens is because everyone, well, not everyone, but the majority of people think alien is going to have some kind of characteristic that we recognize. And the likelihood is that it's going to be something completely unrecognizable. But here's one of my theories. I think about things like bacteria as being an alien. I know it sounds strange, but when you think about things like bacteria, cancer, things that just kind of you have no control over, they have a life of their own, but they're not. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And they have the ability, especially bacteria, they have the ability to take over the world, quite literally, and wipe out humanity. Who's to say that that's not an alien life force? I know that sounds weird, but that's the way I think about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Great
yeah,
questions.
quite possibly, yes. But it depends on what context you're thinking.
I'm going to need about 5 months to explain my answer. So it's complicated.
Yeah. Crime. I'm sure I get these names wrong. Crime
Rat, Minnesota.
Crime Rat. Yeah. Okay. Do you do mental health readings? My daughter 20 just came down with bipolar. It's so hard. So I have done healing readings, but I'm not qualified in any capacity. The healing readings are more about just tapping into your spiritual self. So with something that's a serious medical condition, I would ethically have to say that I'm not qualified. As far as you're concerned, I could help you deal with the not being able to understand it or come to terms with it, or just the healing side of it, being able to kind of get through it, but I can't help you. Does that make sense? So yeah. 1-1. I have a deep request for Sue to cover the tunnels involving in and around Idaho 4. Okay. I've never done readings on the tunnels because it's so conflicting. Some people say it's rubbish. Some people say it's true. And I mean, have you seen any kind of documented evidence of the tunnels, or is it just from rumor and speculation? Because I like to do readings on, even though that should be the whole point of a reading, to ask if they exist, I suppose.
It's funny because we just kind of watched was it True Crime Design had an episode on the tunnels, and it was interesting because I was showing it live. I had never looked at the guy's video, but the rumors have been around that there was tunnels, and that the reason we were talking about it is because if there were multiple killers, there's about 12 ways they could have got into the house that wouldn't have gone past cameras. Only one of which through underground tunnels that could have come up at a manhole right outside the house, kind of thing. And so we were looking at it, and somebody in the chat, this is why it's on his mind, I think, somebody in the chat came in and said, well, I saw a Fox News reporter saying that he looked into the tunnels and it's hogwash. But the guy that did the video showed a whole thing about how the entire campus of U of I is all underground heating tunnels, and he showed it, and showed even where the lines go right by the house. So then I asked the guy in the chat, I'm like, so who's lying? The guy that's showing us the diagram where the tunnels actually go right next to the house, or the Fox reporter who says, I looked into it and there are no tunnels under this place, kind of thing. So that's why it's on our mind. We're like, well, are the tunnels real?
How do you find out though? That's the thing. Is that someone just dismiss it? How do you go about finding out whether there's tunnels? Because they're going to be, they're secret tunnels. They're going to be hidden.
No, there are for sure tunnels there. I'm certain, and I'll tell you why I believe it's certain. There's not only did they have mainstream media reporting about how the campus was built with all these tunnels for heating all out. So that's and they've got videos of it. They got actual videos of the underground tunnels. The $1 million question become, do those tunnels lead up to the house or anywhere near the house of the neighbor? But that the campus is covered in underground tunnels, that's documented. Somebody even sent me a document recently where the university is trying to rent to like telecommunication companies, stuff like that, the tunnels that are already underneath the thing for running wire and running whatever. So they're there. That's not a question. The question becomes, do the tunnels go right up to the house or how close do they get to the house.
It's interesting because I mean, I've right from the beginning, my readings have shown me that most of them, I'd say probably 3 out of 4, were unalived elsewhere. Not in the house. And how did they get them back? And the only way I could see would have been like through a tunnel or something
where nobody can see them. Yeah, interesting.
But there's definitely there's weird stuff that I'm picking up from between 1112 and 1122 King Road, because they're quite close, aren't they? So I don't know if there's a link there.
Yeah.
But I will do a reading on the tunnels. I will. Be interesting. There's definitely a lot to explore there. Yeah,
I've had obviously I've been heavy into the Idaho 4 case, and I always get hesitant on, like, I've never even attempted to do an oracle reading or a tarot card reading for myself based on an Idaho 4 question, because again, I feel like for me, I would discredit the profession or the use, because I don't know that my connection is strong enough to come up with a real reading.
You should do it for your own, just for your own, because you're interested, you're fascinated. I'm surprised you haven't tried just to see what you get.
Yeah, there's just something about me. I've always avoided it because I'm like, well, I don't want to taint my own belief on what happened based on I could have got it wrong.
I think the more people that do it, the better, because then you're going to get more people all getting the same kind of answers or the same energies, which again, that whole thing about energy being amplified, the more people that do it. So I just think definitely you should give it a go in your own private time. Just see what you get. Ask a question that you've always wanted to know, and do a little spread.
I'll do it.
Use your Path of Shadows deck, because I've got that one.
Yeah. You do have that. What a beautiful deck. That's a beautiful deck. I love it.
It is.
Let me ask you this question. There was I don't know if you heard about, there was a TV show called Stranger Things, and it was based off of a place called the Montauk Project in New York, where they had actually, supposedly, our government had used children trying to use them for remote viewing and astral projection kind of thing, and we're trying to do it. And here's what I thought was fascinating. If you look at the literature, it seemed like the government determined that people, they were able to get good information, but not good enough to go like make a strike on somebody. Like what they were getting from people was accurate information about stuff, but it wasn't reliable enough that they felt like, I'm ready to go bomb somebody's city because that's where the nuclear facility is at. We got to go bomb that place. So they didn't trust it enough. Like it was statistically showing them something, and they began to believe that people were tapping in and seeing places, but it wasn't scientific enough that they felt that they could go bomb somebody based on somebody's, because what if they get it wrong sometime? What if somebody had it wrong?
Yeah, of course.
It seemed like it was that kind of thing. But
was this the CIA thing?
Yeah.
Because you can actually read the transcripts and stuff, the documents from that.
Yeah, like the movie, the Men That Stare at Goats and stuff like that is kind of based on the same kind of period of time when they were experimenting with psychics and astral projection and all that stuff like that. The Gateway Project. Oh yeah.
No, there's definitely something to it. It's something I've always wanted to kind of tap into as well, is to do remote viewing.
And I guess that's where I'm going with that. Like, to go back to the Idaho 4 and the tarot reading. So you talked about maybe it's better the more people that do it, because what I find is, what do you think's happening when a lot of people, even psychics will get close to what really happened, but usually not dead on. Like they'll be able to pick up on something, and you'll end up finding the killer's car on the same basic road that they said it was going to be at, but maybe they said it was going to be a blue car and it ended up being a white van, but it was found on the same. Like there's a lot of times where the details are close but not exact. What do you make out to that when they clearly tapped into something because they did know something, but it wasn't exactly the way that they saw it?
So one thing I've sort of learned fairly recently is that, the amount of readings I'm doing, I will, I'll pick a subject, say for instance, I'll do a reading on Dylan, one of Dylan's friends. And because I'm doing a reading on that person, I have noticed that I have a bad habit of trying to tie everything I'm seeing in the reading and linking it to what happened. And it's like, this person fell out with Dylan, you know, this person fell out with Dylan, and that therefore that has something to do with it. And then everything kind of spirals from there. And what I should be doing is actually looking at it in a different way and saying, well, I'm doing a reading on this person. Just because they had a falling out with Dylan doesn't actually mean it has anything to do with the case. And I could actually just dismiss this person. Does that make sense? And I'm trying to link every single person I'm reading on to the case, which ends up being this huge mishmash of confusion and, you know, and lots of leads with no conclusions because they were never a lead in the first place. And now that I realize I'm doing that, I either need to go back and read everyone again, which is kind of what I'm doing anyway, or just be very aware of what I'm reading. I have to have a very definitive kind of, you know, there needs to be something telling me very clearly this person had something to do with it. And if they don't, then I'm reading them, fair enough, and they don't, dismissed. So I think that there is that, for example, if you're reading, you know, a reading on the white car, that they're probably doing the same thing, and they're automatically assuming that that car has something to do with it when they may not. Does that make sense?
Right. Yes. Yeah. Right. And that's what gets into my head. Like, I have baggage from studying the case for so long that I have preconceived ideas of the kind of people Kaylee was in particular. Like Kaylee, I've got a feeling how Kaylee was, even though I've never met her. I've read enough about her and I've watched enough interviews about her that I have a preconceived feeling about her. Right. So if I'm doing a reading, how do I unpack the baggage of what I feel she was like as a person? And then the cards say something, and I'm going to be looking for confirmation bias of those exact things I already know about her or feel about her. How do I unpack? That's my problem with these cases, is how to unpack my biases to just read the cards the way they are.
But you may intuitively know her anyway without having, you know, without knowing anything about her. If you were just reading, you know, something about her that had no information about her personality, you still may have an intuitive feel of how she was just by looking at her. And that's probably accurate, you know, and that's why you shouldn't dismiss that. You should go with what you feel, because that is a huge part of doing a reading. And you should leave that energy open, feel like you're connecting with her as you're doing the reading, let her come through. Because if you're going to do a reading about anyone in that case, I promise you, if you do a reading with Kaylee behind you, she'll help you. And she's so spiritually open compared to all the others. I mean, out of the ones I've done, Kaylee and Ethan were the two that did the most talking for me. And then it was Xana and Maddie. Can't get through. I mean, very rarely. It's like she knows what happened. Job done. She knows what happened. I know what happened. I don't need your help. I don't need to talk to you. It's like that's why I can't connect with her.
I don't want to keep you for forever. I don't know how much time you have, but I got to ask a question.
Yeah.
So we know if 10 people witness a car wreck, and you take eyewitness statements to people on the thing, people will see things differently. They'll interpret who caused the wreck differently. They might remember the driver was wearing a blue jacket when really was wearing a red. Like, eyewitness testimony is pretty horrendous. And it's hard to get everybody to see it the same. So does the same thing happen if you're tapping into Kaylee's energy during a reading, or Xana's energy? Are you connecting to the way they saw it and experienced it? Not necessarily how it really happened, but how they perceived it.
So I'm seeing it through their eyes.
Yeah. Yes.
Which is why it's so hard. People say to me, can't they just tell you who did it? Like, for example, with Kaylee, you have all these conversations with Kaylee and she hasn't told you who did it. No, because she doesn't know. She's showing me through her eyes being attacked from behind. She didn't see the person that attacked her. There's more to that. And I've not got the full story, but the moment it feels like, say she was being attacked, the person that actually ended her life, that did the final blow, whoever it is, that's what she can't tell me. Ethan could tell me because he knew. So there's a lot to it. I see it through their eyes. I feel it. I feel their emotions. I feel their, you know. Yeah.
I am curious to give it a try. Like, my own fear of my own connection keeps me from doing it. But you're right. I think part of my baggage is I feel like I'm too I know too much about the case to detach myself. But I think, just like you said, it's the opposite. Maybe because I know the case so well, I intuitively feel and know certain things about people because I've started to pick up on it, right? So maybe I need to lean into that a little bit. Like I feel like I know a little bit about the people, even though I've never met them, because I
was watching one of your shows. I think it was yesterday or the day before, and you were talking about how you build a relationship with the deck. Yeah. And you ask the deck, tell me something about you. What is it you say? Like,
yeah. Tell me what do you want me to know about you? Yeah. And I kind of
should do that with everyone you're trying to connect with, and leave your mind open. Whatever comes in, no matter how ridiculous it feels. It could be, you could say to Kaylee, tell me something about you. And she could say something like, I like bananas. I don't know, but just go with it. Go with it. Write it down. Go with it.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to start doing this as a little secret project on my thing. Yeah, that's very cool.
Yeah,
very cool.
Wow, it's been amazing. And I because even though I could carry on for another 2 hours, unfortunately I've got to call it quits because I've got my granddaughter coming.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Well, that's I love that I will forever go down as the first person that was on your first live. I'm so excited. Yeah, I win. I get the ribbon on that one. So
we have a special bond now, Lee.
Yeah, absolutely. Very cool. I appreciate it so much.
Yeah, thank you, because you've really helped make this a painless experience. So cool. And I think if I'd been on my own, I'd have just been flapping about and not knowing what I was doing, and you've really helped me, so thank you. And anyone who's watching from my channel, if you don't, I'm sorry I didn't do this right at the beginning, but if you don't know who Lee is and you don't know his channel, hopefully someone will pin Lee's channel. He's got two.
Robin probably can throw it in there.
2 channels. One is the Devil's Advocates.
So the Devil's Advocates Beyond is the channel that I do a lot of this tarot reading and stuff like that, and then Devil's Advocates without the V in front of it. Devil's Advocates 2024 is my true crime channel. So thank you very much for the shout outs on that.
And even though you've done the majority of your work on Devil's Advocates, 2024 has been on the Idaho 4. You're now opening up to lots of other cases and things as well, which is what I'm trying to do as well. But it does tend to suck you back in, doesn't it? The Idaho 4.
The true crime community is dominated by Idaho 4. And I've been trying to, my magic thing is I would like people to resonate with the topics, not the case, and resonate with me. Like I like to hear him talk about cases would be the ideal, right? So that we could talk about other cases, because there's so many great cases out there, but Idaho 4 is dominant right now. And it just dominates everybody's, every moment. So
yeah, it is. But even though there's so many other things like I want to explore, which I haven't done yet. The 2 little girls.
Oh yeah, Abby and Libby from the Delphi murders.
Yeah, I keep getting asked about that, and I haven't done a reading, and I wish I'd done the readings before. Like with the Idaho 4 while it was all going on.
Talk about the shadow deck might be great for that, because there's a lot of really crazy ritualistic rumors about how those girls died. And I feel like that's the kind of thing that a little bit more of a dark deck might reveal some of what happened to those girls in that case. But
let me recommend you a tarot deck that goes, I don't know why it goes well with it, but there's a tarot deck called the Tarot de la Nuit, and it's French.
Okay.
Look it up, because that's also got that same kind of dark vibe in the tarot deck, which is really nice. And it's very the images of people as well. You can draw a card and you can be doing a reading on someone and just to show me the person, and it's like it will give you a representation of the person. So add that to your list.
Very cool. I will add that to I got a list of decks that I've been in. It's been fun. People are already gifting me decks, and I'm excited. I got a collection of decks right in front of me right now. I've got the Arcanum deck and the Mystic Forex deck and the
There's decks there
Pro Tarot deck, and
I'll be looking out for them.
Yeah, it's good stuff. Anyways,
thank you. Thank you. Yeah, thank you, Lee. Thank you so much. And thank you for everyone that showed up and made this just incredibly awesome. thank you to the mods as well because I borrowed your mods, Lee, and they've just happily gone ahead and jumped onto my channel to help mod, because otherwise I would have been all on my own without any
Hell,
help.
I might lose my mods to you. They're like, no, Sue's channel's way better. I'm going to go over there. So it's all good.
Well, you know what? If this time slot ends up being good, and it seems to be pretty good for most people, then I can end up doing this every Sunday, you know, maybe. I'm not making any promises, but that doesn't interfere with you, does it?
No. I mean, if I'm invited back, I'll come back again. Sundays is my day to have cards with friends, but we're doing this well before card time. So I'm good. This is a good time for me. So
good. When do you start cards? Is this you
in a few hours? No, we're just gonna play like Pinochle of all things. It's a really old person's game.
Oh, okay.
We're gonna play that with some friends. So we got hours.
It's not hardcore gambling. That's cool.
No, I'm not gonna lose any money or nothing. No strip poker or anything like that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's been great. Thank you so much, guys. And I look forward to seeing you. Members, I will be with you tomorrow, the Members Monday Q&A. And thank you, everyone. It's been amazing. I'm so happy.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sue.
Bye.
Bye.